it seems like the world's virtual assistant tends to be the Philippines.
That's great.
You
That's
know?
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But a lot of Filipinos are now all of a sudden complaining about the wages and looking at
Mm,
it in a bad way, which
mm.
is understandable,
I was listening to the video that you sent me, and yeah, I
right?
have a couple of things to say about that. But
Hmm.
go ahead, continue.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Did you want to share that clip?
She was mentioning about, please, maybe you could be the one to do it because I'm not really ready to cue it up.
So,
But just my thoughts about it. Like she was mentioning about how some of the people that would critique her, I guess, love or enthusiasm for the Philippines is because
hmm
the wages are cheaper. And for her, it's not it's justified because that's the price, the cost of living here in the Philippines.
right.
In other words, there in the US, um, $3, $4, $5 an hour is like human what do you call that? Like below minimum wage kind of
Yeah,
thing, and
it
it's
goes
like you're
against human labor. It's borderline like
yeah, you're
slavery
taking
type of thing.
advantage of it. You're
Yeah,
taking advantage of it in a legal way, and it's
yeah,
not necessarily ethically correct.
correct.
In That's the thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Do you think that that's actually good? Because like somewhere in the back of my mind, I've never been a VA, but I have been a call center agent, and I do
Hmm.
feel and think sometimes that I'm kind of leaning more towards of the idea na they should get paid more. And yes, people have bought laptops, cars,
Right,
houses because of the $3, $4 that you guys pay.
right.
But I think that, and whatever it is going to be in wherever you're from, you're going to be paying two, three, four times higher than you would be paying if you get a VA from the Philippines, right?
Well, this is what this TikTok guy is saying in regards to this. If you can just give me a heads up if you can hear it properly, okay?
Internet is going crazy
Yeah.
over a Zoom cashier in this New York City restaurant. A new restaurant chain with several locations across the city is deploying hostesses from the Philippines on Zoom to help with checkout. Zoom cashiers working abroad are way cheaper than workers in New York City. The minimum wage in New York is $16 per hour compared to the $3.75 average pay in the Philippines. Not to mention, these virtual employees can work at multiple locations at once.
Ikaw ba nag-share sa akin yan?
Yeah, I did.
So,
Oh, okay. I thought I was
I
the one
did.
that shared it, or you did.
but kasi
You
dito
shared
sa
it?
BA
Oh.
here, maraming kumakalat na scam.
So wait lang.
Right.
So we're talking about two different things here, but basically the same thing in a sense na. So there's the VA.
Mhm.
Somebody's calling you. There's the VA.
Yes!
Wag naman sa mic. There's a VA
Uh-huh.
virtual assistant, and then there's this virtual assistant cashier that you're talking
Correct.
about, right? But
Correct.
either way, both of them, they're dirt cheap labor is
Right.
what we're talking about.
Right. So you were asking, am I what do I think of it and whatnot? So obviously it does seem like, well, it is kind of shitty if you look at it numbers wise, you know.
That's my dad, and his pants are falling off.
Nice.
You're welcome. His pants really fell. They really did fall off.
So
Finn was just blocking him. So he's thanking us for the medicines that we got him yesterday.
Oh,
'cause
nice.
He needed some painkillers.
that's awesome. Going back to this real quick. So the guy was just basically saying minimum wage is $16.75 in New York City, and they were paying these virtual assistants
$16.75.
$3.75. Right now,
How much?
$3.75 is what they're paying per hour for these virtual assistants. $3.75.
Right. $16.75 for
Right.
like regular cheese.
Well, okay, fine. Yeah, that's why it's questionable for Filipinos who are working as a virtual assistant because you're paying $16.75. Yada yada yada. Right. But that's here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's a question for you. What's the average wage per hour in the Philippines?
Hold on, my mind's still trying to. But before I even answer that, because I'm trying to come up with an answer. Yun nga eh, if your business is based there in the US and then you outsource, and I'm not a businessman and maybe I could be
Right.
wrong about this, but since the business is based there in the US, because usually when we sign up for, let's say, a Google thing, a sign up for something. Let's say we sign up for terms and conditions for YouTube.
Right.
We don't have our own terms and conditions here in the Philippines, right? We sign up for whatever the terms and conditions is there based in wherever YouTube is based.
Right.
So why would you pay us only
Less?
375? Yeah, why would you pay us 375 is if the average there is supposed to be 16?
Yeah, but it's not comparable. That's here. But you're
Yun
still
nga.
getting paid than what? But you're still getting paid a lot more than what you're getting paid in the Philippines, as opposed to working in
Right.
full in person in the Philippines. Now I'm
only speaking
sure.
for myself. I'm only
Right.
speaking for myself, but there's a part of me that wishes it was at least like 8
That's
or
that's
10,
the problem there.
not 375 because you can get away with it. That's
Need
just
to.
me.
No, I understand, but need to accept the facts that you know what, it's not fair. Yes, it's not fair if you look at it, right? But
Mm.
yes, it saves money for our bit. Like if it's my business, it saves me money hiring a virtual assistant as opposed to hiring an actual assistant here, right?
Mm.
Correct. But I'm sure there's going to be an underside a side stipend for maybe the business is paying for internet as well. Okay.
Mm.
But I can also go back here and stop and hire a person here to be my assistant. Yeah, it's going to cost more money, you know?
Mm.
If you're working in person, yes, you should get paid more. But if you're working personally, it's not like you have to. You don't have to spend for transportation. You don't have to spend to go out to eat lunch. You don't have to
Yeah.
spend to for fees and whatnot or whatever. You're at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, everything else is going to cost different. But can we just pause that real quick about
Right.
money? I just want to highlight the fact that if that kind of thing really does pop up, wouldn't it be awesome that, like, let's say you go to Japan, or no, just stick to the US, and then
Mhm.
you have a virtual assistant that's Japanese or Filipina, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not just like completely white, black, white,
Yeah.
like the cultural difference.
The
It would
cultural
be
differences.
so like worldly. Like I could be talking to a South African
Yeah,
bank
I
teller, for
don't. I don't like
example.
it. I don't like it. It does
What
not.
don't you like?
I'm not gonna walk up to a McDonald's and talking to a screen that's with somebody in another country or somebody else. I don't like
Right,
it.
yeah, you don't like the screen part. I'm just talking about the cultural part. The fact that, you could be in the US and you can be talking to someone from South Africa
Yeah, that's
virtually.
true. That I mean
Virtually. That's
that
just
that
what I'm excited about.
yeah
But I get what you mean about screens and talking
yeah.
to real people in person. That's another story.
It
But
the
I was
whole
just
idea
talking.
of like talking to somebody from a different place. Yeah, amazing. Just like what we're doing right now. You're in the Philippines and we're doing this
Mm,
podcast, right? It's amazing that we can do this. I'm so for it. But if I'm gonna walk to an establishment, let alone a fast food restaurant, order into a screen and have some no, it's not gonna work. It takes away the personality. It takes away the connection.
mm.
How is that person going to be able to fix any kind of issue that's on my side?
So let's talk about the VAs specifically being Filipinos. Is there
Right.
something
So,
that you wanted to mention about that?
well, one of the questions that I really had about it is how did it end up being the Philippines as the hub for all of this? Um, it is kind of amazing, though, I have to admit. And this lady really broke it down in a way. You know, if I could put this on real quick as well, just a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, um, she kind of lets you know why
Well,
the Philippines.
while
I'm
you're
sorry.
figuring it out, while you're figuring that out, because I
Yeah,
can feel your brain slowing down because your hand is trying to figure
yeah.
out where to click. I'll tell it to you right away. It's the history that we've had in the Philippines.
Mm,
Thanks to our colonizers for teaching us the ways of English, and
right.
and I love the fact that she mentions that one of the things that unifies the entire Philippines is the fact that everybody can speak English. It's not Tagalog,
Correct.
but English.
English.
And
Yes.
I think that's what Roberto was saying before, that it might not be our national language, but we have to at least acknowledge it, that it unifies us, all the Filipinos together,
With the rest of the
even
world.
gets us in touch with the rest of the world. So don't
Right. Right.
demonize English because it's not Filipino. But it's part of our history, whether we
Right.
like it or not.
Right.
We're
Right.
not,
I
we're
I
not
can't play the video, so it's not working for some reason. But
uh-oh. That's one of the things that I get upset about when people like make fun of me speaking in English because it's like Pilipino ka naman, marunong ka naman mag-English. Ay, marunong ka naman mag-Tagalog. Bakit
Tagalog, yeah.
nag-English ka pa?
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to communicate in, it's what I'm comfortable with, and or let's say the person that I'm speaking with is not comfortable with my Bisaya, for example. So
Right.
we
Right.
speak, but whatevs. I mean, there's also struggling to speak in Tagalog,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
forcing
being
someone to speak in Tagalog if they don't want to.
right. I mean, well, that's the thing, though. Now it's everywhere. Now having to see that they're hiring the virtual assistants from the Philippines all over the world, from all over the world, really. But Americans are doing that, and they're equating it to that Filipinos are their work ethic is just really good. You know,
Mm,
it's
mm.
amazing that they don't take advantage of the situations in regards to it. Because here, as a virtual assistant, to be honest with you, sometimes you can't even find your assistant. You
We
know,
got disconnected on the live on TikTok, by the way.
it's
But
okay. I'm just hitting live again right now. I just saw it. Um, Filipinos speak English for the most part. Yes, it might be broken, but it's enough, more than enough, to actually take care of things for you.
mm,
You know, and they're not going to take advantage of the situation. Their work ethic is, I have to say, by far, for the most part, stellar.
I gotta ask.
The
May sinasabi ka
appreciation.
kanina.
Ano?
Yeah, you were saying something a while ago, mga VA scam.
Yeah.
What's that about? Or did you mention about this also?
Christine
Anong
brought it
klaseng
up,
scam?
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of
I agree.
VA na company na ini-scam yung mga Pinoy or OFW na walang work right now.
Uh-uh.
O iba naman yun. Ano yung
No,
modus operandi
ang
nila?
modus nila
MO.
like kunwari, hiring kami ng VA, ganito, ganyan, hanggang sa makapasok ka na dun sa app nila. So,
Mhm.
ikaw interview,
So, sinascam nila yung VA o sinascam nila yung kliyente?
client.
Yung kliyente.
Yung i-hire nila.
Okay.
And then hanggang sa makapasok na papakitaan na, "Oh, you're hired," gano'n, and then, "Can I get your account about,"
So ano
gano'n.
sila, like,
They're
grupo
scamming
sila
it to
na
get the money
nagsa-scam
as well.
talaga. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think anywhere in any industry you have
But
something like that now
ginagamit
naman.
nila yung mga image na 'yan, I think yung pinorward mo na 'yan, ginagamit
Mm.
nila 'yan dun sa Pilipino para maniwala na alam mo
Right.
yun?
Pero
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the bad news side of it. But generally, VA Filipinos are good news.
Oh, absolutely. Generally, they're definitely worth it. You know.
Mm-mm. Well,
Um.
not all 100%. Let's just give it a generous 80-90%. But
Mm,
of course, you always got to double check and be careful.
correct. Now, why are w- people obviously in the Philippines are now starting to question? They should be getting paid same dollar figure as what they're paying in their own countries for it. Now, as I've asked earlier, what's the average Filipino pay per hour in pesos?
Ano bang basta 500 na yata ngayon minimum for the day pero per
Oh,
hour. We don't
see,
No, per hour yata is magkano lang? Magkano lang? Hindi siya
I don't
ano.
know. We don't really think in terms of do we per
it's
day
per
kasi
day, right?
iniisip namin dito eh. We
Yeah,
don't
per
really
day
think per
dito
hour.
for 8
Tapos
hours.
ilang oras ang workday nyo? 8 hours din.
8
Actually,
hours
technically
or
9
minsan 10
because
hours.
Ah,
they don't count lunch.
Yeah.
So 9 hours, it's about
okay.
500. Let's say 600 na lang.
Well,
Nag-invite ako
sabihin na lang
sa'yo.
natin. Let's just say it's 500. An average pay for a Filipino is 500 pesos per day. Okay, and that's divided by 8. Let's just say, to make it fair work wise,
18, mga
that's
ganon.
62 pesos, 62.50 pesos. Okay,
Per hour.
per hour.
Tama ba yun?
Yeah.
That's what,
Actually,
a dollar
I
and
remember,
10 cents.
I remember yung teacher, remember yung na-hire ka, diba? Ganun lang
Yeah,
din yung,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
my
yeah.
God,
When I
62
applied as
Mm,
a
pesos.
English teacher, yeah, it was
mhm,
around that
mhm.
that price, like 60 something pesos per hour.
Right, right.
Magtrabaho.
So, sabihin na lang natin na Okay, you're paying somebody $3.75 per hour as a virtual assistant. Okay, that is roughly 1 day. Okay, 375 times 8. Let's just say it's 8 hours. Okay, times 55 pesos. That's 1,650 pesos per day. Why do you have to complain too much about it? I'm sorry, but that's like a lot in Philippine pesos. That's $8,250 pesos per week. That's 33,000 pesos per month.
Yun nga, that's
You know?
again, my point is I'm basing it off of the standards that your business is coming from. Like whether I do the work here in the toilet or
Yeah.
under my bed, as long as I get the work done, is none of your business. That's the way I see it.
Maglalamig
Right,
ko na
but you can't look at it that way, because if you look at everything that way, especially in this particular case where it's virtual work, then there's no more business.
Yeah,
Business is
yun
gonna
nga.
cease to exist.
Yun nga.
You know?
Again, I'm not saying necessarily it's right, but I'm just saying that I
Correct.
wish the VAs get paid a little more than they
I don't
do.
think so.
Like not like dirt cheap, but
Not right now.
whatever.
It's
If
dirt
they're-
cheap in comparable to what's being paid here. But that being dirt cheap, maybe that business might be able to use some of that profit or that money saved to hire another 2 virtual assistants, right?
Can we
Which-
interrupt? Can we interrupt ourselves with sorry, continue, but I'll interrupt after you finish your thought.
Now, a lot of people here actually that hire virtual assistants in the Philippines, they don't just have one virtual assistant; they have 2 or 3.
All right,
You know?
let's read this. It sounds like this is a VA related comment. I'll put it up on the screen, okay?
Ah,
Hello, sorry to bother you. I want to offer promotion. Okay, maybe not.
okay. Well, in hindsight, that's also a promoter. Basically, it's going to be your virtual assistant type of thing. It's your virtual promoter.
Quality guaranteed to be. Somebody's selling us something on the
Yeah,
comment.
I get that. We get that messages all the time.
I thought it was a comment
No.
with the VA that we're talking about.
We get all of that messages all the time. But
But again, that's my thing. I'm just speaking as an employee that was
Right.
barely a VA with barely any VA experience and little that I have. I'm just saying I wish we could get paid more because of, I know the value that we're giving you guys. But
right,
again, that's the argument for the businessman as such as yourself with that kind of an idea, and that's why. And I think you're right. If we don't do it that way, then there wouldn't be that kind of a business going.
correct.
But
Then
again,
there's you kill that opportunity if you try to make it look equal. It's never going to be equal, and it shouldn't. The way I see it, because there's gauges and unevenness from both sides.
yeah. But again, that I just push back in a sense that
Yeah.
some of the work that we do does not necessarily. But I just know the value of the VA or the person that's working for you.
Right.
And sometimes I think that it should be more. But if that's the fair price and people agree to it, we're all adults, and the VA agrees to it, then that's none of my business anymore. But again, that's why I didn't continue. Maybe that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't continue the VA work, because if I had another choice, I chose to do something else, which is
Right.
where I'm at now.
So there's actually I need to find this. I'm gonna shoot a link at this episode when it goes live or when it goes online on YouTube as well or on Facebook. Of a YouTuber I've seen, this guy has a private business here in Virginia. Not here in the States. Okay. All of his employees are virtual employees. Okay. I'm gonna admit to say one of the biggest reasons why companies here do it, because it's cheaper. You don't have to worry about paying for medical insurance. You don't have to worry about taxes, yada, yada, yada.
Oh.
So this guy has this business here in the state. I can't remember. I've seen him on YouTube. I'll put the link on later on the comments. But he has, I believe, he was able to hire, well, I think he has like 12 employees that are all from the Philippines,
Okay.
all virtual assistants.
Okay.
He started off with one or two
Okay.
he started off with one or two that are actually here in the States, but decided to let them go because it was too expensive.
Okay.
Based off those two salaries, he was able to hire 12 people.
Okay.
And because of that, the productivity has actually increased tremendously. Now he's a millionaire, and he bases all of his employees as virtually because
So,
for some reason he's realized that yes, it is lower payment, but the quality is amazing, the ethics is amazing, and he's actually visited and flown back and forth to Manila to meet
bottom
everybody.
line is everybody's happy.
Bottom line, everybody's happy, but there's always some of those people that's going to just complain and complain about things, and you shouldn't. Be grateful. You know, I understand that you want to be paid. Why can't you pay us the same thing as you're paying 16.75 per hour? Yada yada yada. Well, you can't. Business is going to lose. You're going to get rid of that relationship right off the bat if you do that.
Again,
You know.
my sentiments about it, if we're basing it off of New York 16.75 an hour, we're getting paid 3.75 here. I just wish that we were getting paid, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8.75 an hour, for example,
Right.
instead of the lowest 3.75 that you can get.
Well,
That's just my
technically,
sentiment.
yeah.
Again,
He could have paid lower,
yun nga.
but he didn't.
Again,
There's always that what if.
I've barely scratched the surface. I wasn't even hired, or I didn't even continue the employment status, but I found out how much we were getting paid and what the whole system was all about. And again, that's not every VA work. I'm just talking about like one little
Right.
English teaching VA assistant kind of thing, but that's barely even being a VA. That's
But
an
even
English
if
teacher.
even if you're getting paid $3 an hour, that's $30,000,
No.
30,000 pesos a month.
That's not $3 an hour. That was no, that's not $3 an hour. That's $1.50,
Oh,
$1.
that's ridiculous. Now that's ridiculous. You know.
60 something pesos.
Yeah.
60 something pesos is $1.10.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So again, that's like lowest of the low. I mean, it's not bad. I could still save up for that. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I know that your lowest is, or your average is, let's say 16.75, and I'm getting $1.
Yeah, that's insane. That's just ridiculous right there. You know, because that's
what I mean.
practically comparable to what Filipinos make on a daily basis. You know, it doesn't.
No.
500. That's a lot. That's still more, but it's not worth it.
But again, the VA company owners would say that you don't have to commute, you don't have to leave your house, etc., etc. So there's also that.
When you did that, is that going through an agency in the Philippines?
No, it was direct to the
Okay.
employer.
Yeah, but that's still, that employer is just that's insane. I'm sorry. You know, again, it works sometimes. Sometimes, a lot of times, a lot of time it works. You know, especially when they hire Filipinos as virtual assistants, it just works a lot of times. But there are those moments where it's just not even fair, to be honest with you.
Again, it's still up to you. You still decide. Scout
Correct.
around, find the right deal. Don't just say yes to any first and only deal that you get. Try
Right.
your pants. Try different sets of pants. See what fits right. Some could be scams. And there was another thing that I was going to say about it. I forget. But that's it basically.
You know what though? What the last thing I'm going to say in regards to that, virtual Filipinos that are virtual assistants, yes, the pay is questionable sometimes, but for the most part, it's a better opportunity for you. You know that. Everybody knows that.